This week, the sky brings, yes, Mercury stationing retrograde, but a little dash, a little sprinkle of some energies we might be in desperate need of right now. We're adding it to the sauce. Yeah, a little hope, a little optimism. Are we down? Are we down to clown with this energy? Let's buckle into it. Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, MADI Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in. I am your guide on this wild ride of being a human, MADI Murphy, your cosmic consultant. Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio. This is your weekly energy report so you can understand what the heck is going on out there in the sky, as above, so below, and how it affects you, and better yet, how you can understand the planets for more presence, more protection, more power, more pleasure. So this week, we have a lot going on. We have Mercury stationing retrograde, like I said. We have the new moon in Sag. For us here in the U.S., we have Thanksgiving, and I know complex holiday. Don't love the whitewashed part of the American history of it all. But what I do love is 4-day weekends, spending time with family, eating well. I love Sag energy. And if you too struggle with a little bit of this, may I recommend, I've talked about it before, but rebranding Thanksgiving into, or bring it back, talk about retrograde, into the original roots of the holiday, which has astrological and pagan roots. We might as well call it Jupiter's feast day, because, right, Thanksgiving always falls on a Thursday. Isn't that funny? And we know that Thursday is, every day of the week is ruled by a planet. Thursday is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of abundance, gratitude, hope, broader purpose, possibility, being together. It's literally like signified by the cornucopia. So there's also Thor was the equivalent Norse god of Jupiter. So Thor's day, Thursday. It's a great time to think about, first of all, this country loves our forefathers so much. And these dudes were dabbling in the occult and the metaphysical. They knew, right? And it's a nice day to remember, how abundant we are, how much we have to be grateful for, how much, even in the hardest of times, there's so many gifts, so many blessings being bestowed upon us. So sip on that cosmic tea, bring that up. Just in case Mercury in Sag retrograde isn't going to bring enough drama to the Thanksgiving table post this election, why don't you also just drop that to your really religious aunts and uncles and be like, do you know what we're actually celebrating here? But I digress. So let's talk about this week. Like I said, we have Mercury retrograde. We have the new moon in Sag. Virgo announcements before we get into that. We're wrapping up here. We're heading into the last month of the calendar year. I'm headed into the birthing portal in December. So in terms of announcements, if you want to get in on our last live big event for the year, of course, we have the new moon in Sag this week. So come hang out with us for that. We'll have the full moon in circle led by our cosmic baddie in our own community. But we have the 2025 webinar on December 5th. If all things go according to plan, I don't go into birth before that, we are going to spend 2 hours together walking through the major transits of this year, the history, what's happened in previous cycles, what do we need to know about working with them, what can we expect, and then, of course, a horoscope, Cosmic RX message theme for, your sign, and so you really understand the assignment, what's the vibe. And, I'm going to say, no matter what has happened on the political stage, 2025, we've been talking about it for a minute, it's a year of a lot of destabilization, resistance, revolution, change on change on change. It's a paradigm shifting, generation defining, decade definitely defining year. So I always think it's very grounding to get all the information at once. And that way I can really feel, with that preparedness, It's not about predicting the future, but it's just having that awareness. So when crazy shit happens, we're like right on schedule. So check out tickets for that in the link in bio. We are still running our pre-sale of our limited edition Notes from Your Higher Self deck. If you want to grab yours, this is going to be your last opportunity for a while. We're independently printing them, small batch in the US, so we only do a few runs a year, and this is your time to get it. I love this deck. It always slaps, it serves, it slays, and I am so proud to have it out in the world. I love seeing you all do your card spreads for the new moon, the full moon, for your birthday, for Mercury retrograde, for what to do with our exes, for how to fight for freedom and liberation. I've seen this deck used for so many amazing things. Check that out. And then also, I'm putting a link to apply. Obviously, I'll be going on my pregnant pause, my mystical maternity leave, but gearing up for this big year, I am going to be taking some applicants for my mentorship, which I really did close basically all of 2024 between Jordy and the book. The bandwidth wasn't really there, but I will be taking on 1 or 2 one-on-one mentees starting in March of 2025. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to do some interviews and some sorting through and vibe checks before I sign off. So check out that link. And those are your Virgo announcements. So let's get into if astrology isn't real. Oh my, oh my, oh my. So much to chat about. In this week's If Astrology Isn't Real, I had so many fun submissions from you, my cosmic baddies, and do a little mashup. We're going to go high, we're going to go low, we're going to go far out. So listen, we've all had some time now, right? We are coming into a place of integration, acceptance. I was reading about an energetic, emotional immune system this week, and I'm like, we're doing it, okay? Like, we all were a little shocked by the election, but the more I talk to all of you, and the more that I checked in with just some of my amazing colleagues, family members, coworkers, we're like, duh, right? Pluto and Aquarius. This is like progress for society. We want to move forward, but it's going to be like the downfall of our current systems, government, economy, and like who are dismantling those systems and to what end, we don't really know. But it is about like, no one's coming to save us, right? We are the ones we've been waiting for. It is all about the us in Aquarius, power to the people, the community. And if this just galvanizes us into action and wakes us up even more and keeps us more even attuned to that, then here we are, right? We've been saying this for years, but I just want to remind everyone that Pluto, the time it spends in a sign is roughly 248 years. Oh my God, who did it? Armstrong Williams or something? There was a study that most empires last 250 years. Or maybe, I don't know where I got that number from. You could look it up, but there's like an amazing correlation between the two of those. So we are witnessing quite literally like the fall of an empire right now. So it makes sense that it feels so insane. You know, we had all the crazy clown car of reality show contestants and I don't even know what to call them, of Trump's cabinet's picks this week. And a few of you reached out about, just like that there's very similar financial markers to when Pluto moved into Capricorn. We were coming off of Pluto in Sag excess, right? Predatory lending, overlooking sort of in that, like the shadow of Sag way, like excess, not looking at the fine print, not thinking about how are people ever going to pay these mortgages back. And then Pluto moved into Capricorn, boom, the economy collapsed. Now we have Pluto in Capricorn, which could really represent the greed of these big companies, billionaires, this kind of oligarchy that's coming out of this. Like, it's like at the end of Pluto in a sign, it's taking it to like the extreme in the economy and just like inflation, but not because of normal inflation. Inflation because, let's be honest, a lot of inflation doesn't even have to do with, it has to do with corporate greed mostly. I mean, if you see these companies, we have to admit that like they are raising prices, but recording record profits. So like make it make sense. We might see something in the economy in that. And a few of you messaged me and just saying like, this is the time to, again, like we need community care networks more than ever. And like this some of you sent me articles about how this will be shifting, towards more AI, tech jobs, thinking about our jobs really differently, thinking about our economy really differently, thinking about how tech and AI can help our economy. It's always a mixed bag with Pluto. It's never good or bad. It's just extremes, especially extremes doesn't want to weed out the shadow. So that's all really interesting. And I'm going to share some action steps and some things that I thought were interesting, but I do want to cover two things before that, because like I said, you all submitted so many amazing things this week. There was definitely we're rallying. I could tell we are all fired up. And, Heather, one of my former mentees, sent me something about computer scientists gathering together to say hey, this election, something weird is going on. I'm not saying we have to overturn it. I'm not saying things need to change, but it just confirms what we just said. All these systems that can be corrupted are corrupted. So again, it's going to rely on the you, the me, the us to figure this out and take care of each other in a really big way. The win that I saw that was cool this week is we saw with Matt Gaetz, right? Truly a horrendous human being. The one person who voted against sex trafficking laws has had multiple people, women, young girls come against him for, sexual assault, sex with minors. He's just an icky dude. And people really put up a big stink about it. And shout out to those that also crossed party lines and opposed it. And even a Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've never agreed with anything she said. She's like, if you're going to release his court case and his filings, then we should release all of them. And I was like, I don't know if you realize how smart you're being, but yeah, let's do that. And I think that there was enough hubbub that him withdrawing and not going up against the Attorney General nomination shows that there is some kind of power in our voice. I mean, yes, there are still 3 Trump cabinet nominees who've been accused of or permitting sexual abuse, and then also not including him, president-elect. But it's a start. It's a start. I'm taking the wins where we can get them. I'm taking the moments where people, regardless of their political beliefs, can just be like, no, that's too much. We can all agree on that, right? But in this shattering of our dependence on authority, I will say that I've been thinking about what do we do next and some action steps. And I have been looking into some local organizations that are centered on mutual aid, looking to volunteer some time with abortion funds across the country. And then something you can do that costs no time, no money, I mean, maybe time, 5 minutes, is you might be hearing a lot about this recently. A lot of people have been messaging me about it. But the Equal Rights Amendment, it's just a step away from being really totally in our Constitution. A brief history on it is proposed in 1923, 1972, was passed by Congress, and it was actually ratified by Virginia in January of 2020, but it still hasn't been included in our Constitution due to several just loopholes, delays, normal bureaucratic bullshit. But, this would be really powerful to have put in place, to be formalized and published as an amendment before Biden leaves office. So you can go to, I'll put the link in the show notes, mobilize.us/ Young Feminist Party. You could search Equal Rights Amendment now. What do you call that? Petition. But, it will defend abortion. It will defend LGBTQ plus rights. It will defend the 19th Amendment. It would just be a good precedent to have down, right? And it's something that I would say Biden could absolutely push through. And I'm like, come on, Democrats, let's get a little saucy, a little sassy, a little spicy, and let's do the damn thing. So, reminder, our voice, our dollars, our actions, they all matter right now, especially more than ever with Pluto and Aquarius. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to end on a really funny note, because a lot of you messaged me, if astrology isn't real, then why didn't Scorpio season bring in the most literal energy? Did anyone see this story of the second oarfish, OAR fish that washed up in San Diego? It's literally a deep sea fish that goes 3,300 feet below the surface. Oh my God, I looked it up. It's called the Mesopelagic Zone, which is now where I'm going to say where all my Scorpios live. It's a dark region beyond the reach of sunlight by far. And this Orphish is allegedly a mythical harbinger of doom. Like literally, this is like scientists reference this. That's because many reasons, but one did wash up right before Japan's most powerful recorded earthquake and the tsunami in 2011. And with this oarfish, it literally is called like doomsday fish. It's super crazy looking. Some people call it a sea serpent. And I'm just leaving this here because, yeah, thanks for the heads up, Scorpio. But like, this is just not the most Scorpio shit you've ever heard in your life. Like, I was like, I didn't even know there could be a fish that was so dramatic. And of course, it came from deep, 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 deep down in the mesopelagic zone to give us a heads up. Like, shit's getting real, y'all. So as always, let me know what you want to hear more about, what your astrology isn't real moments are. High, low, silly, serious, everything in between. You know, I love to chit chat, gib gab, and yap yap about all of this with you, my cosmic baddies. And that brings us into, let's talk about the moon. Who wants to talk about the moon? Let's talk lunar self-care. Let's talk about the energy report. What is the moon doing every day and how can it support us? What do we need to know? So Monday, the 25th, the day this podcast comes out, we have the moon in Virgo really early, but then the moon in Libra after 6:19 a.m. This is also a day Mercury goes retrograde. And just as a heads up, the day Mercury stations retrograde is usually one of the peak hijinks days. So don't say I didn't warn ya. Okay, that was really off key, but I'm not a Sag. I am not Taylor Swift. I'm merely a humble Virgo. But that day, just heads up. So Libra moon, what can we do that day to bring on balance in our life? You know, what are the relationships that help us? What can we do to bring in more harmony? How can we regulate our emotions? And as a heads up, we might be feeling extra tender in our relationships. So this might not be the day to blurt out feelings, good, bad, or otherwise. Just because, again, like I said, that the first day of Mercury retrograde can be so kooky, unstable. But emotionally, on Libra moon dates, I usually feel like we have a healthy air of detachment. We have a healthy sense of diplomacy. So let's lean into that. And then things that we're going to look out for. Being flaky, like a Sag, Sun, Libra moon could be like being really flaky with our plans. If you need to cancel a plan, if you need to reschedule, that is fine. Let's just give people an ample heads up. Let's just be clear with our yeses and nos. Clarity is kindness, y'all. So November 27th, Wednesday, the moon moves from Libra into Scorpio. And we have our Scorpio moon days. So Scorpio moon, Sag, Sun. The vibe of these days is we are going like on a spiritual voyage inward, okay? Maybe we're feeling into like intuitively what we're ready to alchemize and be the internal magician and shaman of our life as we go into the Sag moon. Like we might be feeling more inward. We might be feeling more intuitive. We might be feeling like we're getting hits of information in unexpected places. We also feel very resourceful under Scorpio moon days. You're very driven. We can feel like we can plug into an energy to get shit done. You know, that Scorpio moon energy is very, like when it says something in its sights, it's like just get the F out of the way kind of vibe. I think what we're going to look out for is feeling paranoid, feeling like people are out to get you, feeling like any kind of our phobias or, like I said, paranoia. Did I not say, I'm sorry, this goes through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into the wee hours of Saturday morning. So for a lot of us, this might be when we're traveling, but more, importantly, maybe with family or friends from home. And this can kind of be like going back to your childhood home, going out with your friends from high school and having old, like lingering fears or insecurities pop up from that time, or jealousy or resentment. And like, how do we transmute that? How do we work with that? How do we journal our way through it, pull some cards, think outside the box, get a new perspective, and encourage that those days for sure. And then on the 30th, which is, I'm laughing and smiling so big because this is my little sister's birthday, November 30th. I have so many people in my life that I love, especially the end of November into December and their birthdays. Holy shit. But gotta shout out my little sister. She is just such a freaking powerhouse. My mom always called her a little tiger. She just inspires me on the daily and is such a fantastic embodiment of Sag energy. If you know her, wish Jenny Murphy a happy, happy birthday. And this is, beautifully, the moon moves into Sag on her birthday. If we're on the West Coast, the 30th is the Sag new moon. We get a double November new moon. And if you're on the East Coast, it's December 1st is the Sag new moon. So we get a double new moon in December. So either way, we're double dipping on some beautiful new moon energy in many different time zones here. And that Sag moon goes from the 30th, the 1st, and it brings us into Sunday evening. So this energy, again, we'll talk about it more with planetary planning, but it's bringing up hope. It's bringing up optimism. It's bringing up joy. It's bringing up celebration. It's bringing up this feeling of like, why the fuck can't I? Like, oh my God, like there is a resurgence of potentiality, a questful energy, is that even a word, that we want to go out, adventure energy. Like I'm excited. Like we are being asked to undertake a new journey, whether that's literal, whether that's philosophical, whether that's based on our purpose, whether that's imaginative, whether that's spiritual. And this fiery lunar energy is, it's bringing some buoyancy to ourselves. And, sometimes the moon in Sag, especially with like Mercury retrograde, I keep thinking about this, like sometimes they say moon and Sag just bring you back on a journey to your past. So I'm like, wow, Mercury retrograde plus the holiday season, we might all be feeling kind of like nostalgic or wistful. And that always happens to me, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, end of the year. It just like does that. So I'm like, how can we do that in a way that's nourishing and nurturing to us, but not like getting that like icky, sticky nostalgia, right? During this time, during these days, we'll get more into it in the new moon. But I just want to say it is a good time to air your truth, to speak your truth. But I do want us to think about doing it tactfully, mindfully, intentionally. What I mean by that is doing it before you have a few glasses of wine, right? Doing it before you erupt at someone, and especially with traveling, with exes coming out of the woodwork, with dinners around the family, mixed company around the table. I just want to like be really clear with this. Like we just want to really speak our truth, but also make sure we're not being a dick, like make sure we're not hurting anyone, and also making sure we're doing it in a way that's like clear and conscious, right? Okay, beautiful. So let's talk about that planetary planning. Let's talk about this gorgeous, sparkly, abundant, like glittery new moon in Sag. I always think of the new moon in Sag as like, we've posted about this before. There's this video I used to love of like, it was like a whole style of doing videos where it was like someone kind of shaking out a big powder makeup brush full of glitter and gold powder in slow motion. So if you were imagining like point of view under it, and I always think about that with the Sag new moon, it feels like the universe, the Jupiter energy in the sky is like, here, just be open to receiving. Here's some blessings. Here's some golden energy. Here's some Midas touch energy. Also meaning like, hey, if we could tell you, you could not fail, what would be the next big dream? And what would be the next big vision? And I talked about this a little bit last week with like the dream big and the dream bigger, and how much that, while still being grounded in gratitude and being a good steward of what I have, how that mantra has just always like really stuck with me. And so as we go into this gorgeous new moon, and I will be doing for Cosmic RX Plus Premium members, additional readings into your sign of what this new moon means for you, this is a great time to really hone in on like a new beginning in terms of this new journey, feeling the archer, right? We're putting a new vision in our sights, and we're pulling out this arrow from this quiver we have. And we were like, the universe is like, you have like a golden arrow that cannot miss. It's just the time though, you have to get focused on what you're aiming on, to pull back, take a deep breath, and then let go. Let go, let yourself feel the optimism, the enthusiasm, the adventure, and let yourself go for it, right? Whenever we have like a new moon and a fire sign, it also is this great chance of like, to remember like, what do you want? What do you need? What lights your inner fire? What lights your soul on fire? New moons and fire signs give us more courage to expand our horizons, confidence, optimism, so much at our fingertips. And this new moon is really doing that because it's forming a trine with Mars in Leo, Rar, another fire sign. So if you imagine like what I just said about the archer pulling back that golden arrow, maybe it's dipped in flames, or maybe you're in flames a la Katniss. Get the mental image there. And then now you have like a freaking lion at your back, or a lion who's like, come on board, we're going to go for this, right? Like no one can fuck with you. There's confidence, there's courage, there's creativity, there's passion abounding under this new moon. And I want you to feel that. I want you to feel that lion. Like, okay, like I'm riding this majestic lion in confidently, as I go on this next adventure. I might not know what's ahead. And that's the thing with Sag energy. We don't have to focus on the how. That's not for us to think about. Like, this is not a Virgo new moon. We're not on the details right now. We're on like big picture vision and trusting that which we desires us. And when we can name it and claim it and set our intentions and then take really good care of ourselves, we can tap into this potent energy to transcend the details of the day-to-day and the how, and really tap into our mystical magnetism, right? And we can reap the rewards from being brave, from taking big leaps of faith, from bets on ourselves. And there's just a lot of energy and motivation with that. Now, of course, a few things, we always got to check into all aspects of this. It is making a square with Saturn. Saturn is direct, but with that square to Saturn, there may be a few blocks. And of course, Mercury is retrograde. I'm just thinking of that scene in Roman Marcel's high school reunion, and they're like, Tucson, here we come. And they play their like road trip playlist, and the car keeps like backfiring and stopping. It might feel a little bit like that, but that's part of the adventure, right? That's part of the road trip. That's part of going out into the unknown. And the other thing I want us to think about is that, maybe like not, what's like the words of caution, the cosmic RX is in that way into this. Not overdoing it. Mars and Leo, New Moon and Sag is like, listen, I love the energy of Sag, like act Delulu until it comes true. That's basically like been my whole life story. With Sag and Leo together though, like we want to make sure we're being Delulu in a way that's still like safe and we're not like betting the whole farm on something that we don't have any receipts behind. We want to make sure that we're not overdoing it even with our own energy, because again, Mercury is retrograde, Mars is going to go retrograde, and we'll talk about it next week on December 6th. So we're not like busting our back. We're setting the vision. We're drawing out the map, right? We're making the Pinterest board. We're getting the blueprint going. And we're also, something that's kind of coming through a lot for me under this new moon, just like a download, is just like being mindful of who you tell your dreams to. Like, I'm a big fan of like staying quiet, like hustling in silence. I mean, I don't love hustle in general, but like dreaming, working on your vision and doing that quietly, and then letting your achievements, letting the vision as it plays out, letting your manifestations do the talking. Now, this, of course, we need a community. So I love our community through the Luniverse. Like, you want to find supportive, like-minded, aligned community. I don't mean like isolate yourself, but not everyone is supportive and like-minded. So, if your dream is a little seedling, don't give it to an uncaring elephant to trample all over. Like, who are the people who are going to really see the seed, see the vision with you, or at the very least support you, nurture it? That might be a smaller circle than you think. And I just, with this Mercury retrograde and the Sag and Leo of it all, it's like, do it. And not everyone has to believe in that vision, right? Like, and especially if you're someone who can get derailed or deflated or discouraged by other people's like just stupid things that humans say. Like, we all have been there, right? Have we all been there when we have like a big dream or even big news and we share it with someone? Maybe they're like a boomer or whoever, and the first thing out of their mouth, you're like, why would you say that? Like, what? Like, like, I'm writing a book. And someone's like, oh, the publishing industry is dying. Really hard to sell books nowadays. And I'm like, wait, why would that be the first thing that you say? So, right, can we relate to that a little bit? So, like, again, who you're sharing your dream with, I want you to think about that. Be conscious with that. Be mindful with that under this new moon. But besides that, we're visualizing, we're taking this and we're letting that Leo energy, fuel our Archer energy. Such a fun combo. And, again, being okay if there's delays or blocks. It's not that it's meant to like shoot into motion right now. We have 6 months for these seeds to plant. So looking at, where you have Sag in your chart, if you want to go deeper, of course, you can through the Luniverse, the Cosmic RX Plus community. But I said it last week, I'll say it again, but like dream big. Just when you think you can't, you dream even bigger. Maybe one of your visions for your manifestations under this new moon is for us as a collective. It helps, please, like the meditation, the visualization, the focusing on what we do want, the ideal scenarios. We need that because so much of what we're kind of, flooded with all day in the media and Sag and Gemini rule the media in different ways is like what's not working, what's not going well. And I invite us all to combat that cosmically a little bit under this new moon. But most importantly, dream big, go up, to the highest peak you've gone to, go farther, go wider with your dream you had before, or get more crystal clear, more detailed with that like eye on the prize, with that eye on the bullseye. And then we write out the intentions, we feel them in our body, attach some emotions to them, and then we surrender and let go. And then focus on, how we tend to our energy from there. And you can go back and listen to my podcast from a few weeks ago about just heart-centered practices to keep us present, to keep us resilient, to keep us hopeful, which we all need more than ever. And if you want to do it in community, come join us and hang out, and I'll walk you through a ceremony doing this and more. So that's what I'm going to leave you for today. I am sending you so much love. I'm sending you just blessings on blessings. Mercury is retrograde under this new moon, but I talked about it last week because I wanted to give us a heads up. So if you want to get like the full Mercury retrograde scoop, go back and listen to last week's energy report. But again, like the forced slowdown, the rethinking, the reflecting, let that all be part of the pullback of the arrow under this new moon in Sag. Okay, my little haughty, audacious archers. Can we handle that? All right, see you next week. In the meantime, sending you blessings under this new moon for those big ass, fat checks and some hot, fulfilling, toe curling sex. Until next time. Mwah. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.